fucking losers. You fucking loser Philly fans. Fuck you guys. Oh, the Mets, this, Mets that. You guys are fucking losers. This video is sponsored by Demetrius because he's a fucking dumbass. Oh, the Phillies they beat all the odds. There's no way they can lose. They ain't winning none in Philly. Fucking idiot. Anyways.
Nah, bro, Phillies are nice with it.
Anyways.
They did their thing. They'll be back next year.
Anyways, me and Matty back at it again.
Yeah.
Sorry,
this video is also sponsored by Paul. Rest in peace, Paul.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Triple P. I hope all you guys had songs like Alex, you know?
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Mm-hmm.
Way to fucking put a sad tone on the video.
We had to, bro, because you want to talk about the Phillies and shit. We might as well just address all the elephants in the room.
Yeah, you're right. Alright. Sorry we missed last week. I just started real estate school. Matty just got done real estate school. We're trying to sell fucking houses, you know? Mm-hmm. We've been busy, boys.
Yeah.
But, you know.
But this video is just going to be twice as good.
Yeah, you couldn't keep us away from you guys, from the fantasy videos. Alright? Week 9. Oh, go ahead.
Week 9.
Week 9, Week 9. Right.
This video is just going to be crazier because of all the movement that's been happening over 2 weeks.
Facts.
So we'll get it started.
Alright, Matty's going to talk about his team like he's been doing. Some of you guys might be angry about this, but, you know, the stats don't lie.
Stats don't lie. Well, this week is going to be a big week for me, which we'll talk about later. But my team is holding the test of time. I'm 6-3. I got the second best record. I got the second most points in the league behind Drew. And my team hasn't changed very much. I know there's like the whole question of if Deebo Samuel is still going to be a top 10, top 15 wide receiver, but at the end of the day, that's my flex. So it's still better than most of your guys' flex. I still got Cooper Kupp. I still got Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. They all just had their buys. I don't got to worry about that shit anymore. So my team is ready to finish strong the rest of the way through the season, and I'm still sitting at number 1. I think I'm going to get that number 1 seed. We'll see. Number 2, though, we got Josh on the board. What do you think about Josh's team?
Josh has a really good squad. You know, he's up here because he has the best record. He's got a lot of depth.
He's got a great stack, too.
Yeah, and, you know, Joe Mixon, who we'll talk about later, fucking laid a historic dookie on my forehead. Mm-hmm. Like, this shit broke fucking world records.
Yeah.
What Joe Mixon just did. But like I said, he doesn't have really any holes except for maybe tight end, and even then he's got 2 guys that are good, and he could trade them and add more pieces. We're still a little iffy on Deontay, and Brandon Cooks didn't get traded, which I was really surprised about.
I was too. I thought he was going to get moved.
Yeah, but other than that, Josh has a really good stack with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. He has a lot of running back depth, which is important. We'll talk about Michael Pittman a little later, which I thought was going to happen with the quarterback change, but we'll talk about that a little later.
He's got Jonathan Taylor waiting to come back.
Yeah, and he's got JT waiting to come back. He's got a good squad and a lot of depth. Best record. That's why he's number 2. All right, next we got the Chuckster.
Yup, Chuckster. I'm going to be playing Chuckster this week, and me and him are going to be duking it out for that number 1 seed. So it's going to be a big week coming up here. But Chuck's team is as good as you can ask it to be. I mean, he's got a good quarterback situation with Pat Mahomes. He's got Justin Fields on the bench who he can move.
A top 2 running back.
Austin Eckler, could be the RB1 in anybody else's eyes. Has been putting up crazy numbers with touchdowns. The first 3 weeks, it was looking a little bleak for him, but since then he's got like 10 or more, I think. Jalen Waddle is a wide receiver 1. There's no question about it. CeeDee Lamb's back this week, so his wide receivers are looking all right. His defense is the Bills' defense, so you never know. Chuck's defense can put up 25 on anybody, and his bench is pretty solid. 6-3, tied with the second best record with me. Fields?
Yeah, we'll talk about him later.
Yeah, no, I mentioned him a couple minutes ago. But yeah, Chuck's record, his points, his team overall puts him at number 3. The biggest riser we've had in a little while, though, coming up next. We got Austin's team.
Yeah, my new favorite dark horse team, which really isn't even a dark horse anymore.
No, because he's been shitting.
Because he's fucking stacked. His only hole is his quarterback, and it stacks with Jefferson. And, you know, Kirk's been getting a job done.
Kirk's aight.
Yeah, he's aight. But when you have Alvin Kamara, ETN, D-Hop, Jeff, Godwin, and Goddard to fill up the rest of the lineup.
His lineup is solid as they come.
Kirk doesn't fucking matter. I honestly think this is the best team in the league. No,
I used to be happy that I was playing Austin twice, and then I'm not happy that I have to play him twice anymore.
Yeah, me neither.
But
you know, I really thought Kareem Hunt was gonna get traded too.
Yeah.
Who was like to the Rams, but which would have just made his team better, like that much better, but. You know, it didn't happen. It's probably good for us. I don't know why I'm saying us. I'm fucking at 11. But it's good for the other people in the league. It gives them a chance. You know, he would have been able to trade for a quarterback.
No, he'll be Austin will be making some noise in the playoffs. That's for sure.
I think it's the best team. We'll see.
The team with a probably the highest ceiling.
Yeah, we'll see how it all folds out because the best team almost never wins in our league. Somebody always upsets them.
Yeah, but teams with the highest ceiling. It's either that team or this team. Team number 5 on the list, Drew, who has been battling a Jamar Chase injury the last couple weeks, and his team has still been putting up 130 or more. He's been battling back with his record situation. I remember he was at like 1-5 at one point in the season. He's at 4-5 now, so he's definitely in contention for a playoff spot. And if you're a team like me sitting in the playoffs, you're just sitting there every week hoping that Drew loses another week because you don't want to play Drew in the playoffs. You don't, Austin too. You don't really want to play either of those guys in the playoffs because their team can just put up the most points any given week. He's got Christian McCaffrey, Cordero Patterson came back, scored 2 touchdowns. He's got a Tyreek to a stack that's working well for him.
Tyreek, top 3 receiver?
Yeah, without a doubt. Tyreek, top 3 receiver.
Now, hold on. Is McCaffrey a top 3 running back?
I think if you're redrafting, right now, both of them are going top 3 at the position.
Okay. Well, who would you take over McCaffrey? Just Saquon and Eckler?
Probably, yeah. Saquon and Eckler. And it just comes down to, like, D. Swift being injured all year and Jonathan Taylor being injured too. But honestly, like, yeah, those 2 guys look like top 3 guys. And Jamar Chase isn't back yet for Drew. Jamar Chase isn't back.
And DK's playing through his fucking ruptured leg tendon or whatever, which is crazy. And he's catching touchdowns every fucking week.
Yeah, and Drew's team is kind of ridiculously deep because he's benching Ramondre Stevenson right now. I know this guy right here would start Ramondre Stevenson in a heartbeat. So, like,
every week. I think a lot of teams should be starting Ramondre Stevenson.
I would love Ramondre Stevenson on my team.
But, like, yeah, I'd start Clyde, too, even.
That's what I'm saying. Like, Drew has, in my opinion, the nicest roster. It's him or Austin. And, like,
I like Austin's better, personally. But I used
to say I had the nicest roster, and I still do have a top 3 roster, but, like, I don't have the luxury of bench depth that these 2 teams have, and I'm, like, an injury away from being, like, an okay roster. But, like, my starting roster's nice. I'm giving myself props. Anyway, number 6 on the list, we got Coates.
All right. Mr. Cack. No, I shit on Coates a lot. Happy birthday, Coates. His birthday was, like, a day or 2 ago. So.
Coates 21.
Congrats, Coates.
Congratulations, Coates.
That doesn't change the fact that your team is very fucking average, all right? A lot of depth, though, a ton. If I was Coates, I'd be making some fucking trades. But I still don't like that Godwin trade. I know Godwin hasn't really exploded, but I still didn't see a point to that for him when he has the depth at receiver that he has. Tony Pollard, we'll see how Zeke comes back from his injury, but he's a piece, too, for when he does miss. He showed you what he could do when fucking Zeke's gone. But at the end of the day, Jerry Jones just said it's Zeke's backfield, and he's not going to change that, which sucks for Tony Pollard owners across the fucking country. But, hey, I'm a Zeke one, so.
Jerry Jones be slurping Zeke.
Jerry Jones do be slurping. But, yeah, I like Devontae Smith. I like Terry McLaurin. But I think those are, like, guys that are, like, great flex options on really high-end teams. Like, I would be starting them. But, like, for Coates, I would want Godwin. Higgins and Burrow's a nasty stack. Derrick Henry's been doing his thing. We'll talk about Deontay Foreman a little later. He's a dud. But,
That's Coates' RB2.
yeah, and that's Coach's RB2. We'll see with Zeke coming off his injury.
Better, but...
Yeah, Najee was trash too.
Yeah, hit up Drew Coates. Drew's got a lot of running back depth. He could probably make something happen with him.
Yeah, maybe. All right, next we have Nate Dogg at 7.
Dogg. Yeah, Nate's been battling the D Swift bug. That's a damn shame because he looked really good to start the season. But Dameon Pierce has really been resurrecting Nate in a lot of aspects. I mean, I've been talking to Nate a lot, so if anybody wants Cortland Sutton, go hit up Nate because he's really trying to get rid of Cortland Sutton.
Nobody trade for Cortland Sutton.
And yeah, the Josh Allen Diggs stack is probably the best stack in the league. He's got some decent tight end depth, I guess.
Dameon Pierce is fucking nasty.
Dameon Pierce is fucking nasty. This whole running back class was kind of nasty.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Nate's team sitting at 4 and 5 is kind of like the definition of like the middle of the pack team that could make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens. Hopefully Swift is healthy for Nate by the playoffs. If not, it'll probably just be like first round exit. We'll see. Next up on the list though.
All right, we have Alex. For some reason he changed his name to Tight End University.
Should honestly be Josh's name.
Yeah.
Josh has way better tight ends.
Yeah, even though Alex has probably the best tight end in fantasy, but then, Evan Ingram, he's droppable. I don't know why he named himself that.
Zach,
yeah, I usually...
which is respectable.
Yeah, I usually expect Alex to have, like, one of the top 3 team names every year. Like, he's been doing
It's because he doesn't want to
job.
listen to anybody's advice.
Yeah. I think my team name, I'm just saying, is the best. Like, I know I don't have Rashad Bateman anymore, but I'm Master Bateman is fucking top tier team name.
I've had a top tier team name too.
What?
My Brandon Ayuk team name.
Yeah,
that was good.
That was a good one too.
D Bozo's trash.
Yeah, that was good too. I don't know. I take a lot of pride in my team name.
I think it defines your team. In a lot of ways.
It usually defines your season. I think I changed mine around too much. Maybe that was the problem. But yeah, whatever.
We've only been talking about his team name.
Tight End University. All right, he's got a really good team in my opinion. We'll see what happens with Raheem Mostert because it looked like it was a split share, and Matt will talk about that later. But he's got decent depth.
Yeah, I mean he added Devontae Adams.
Yeah, Josh Palmer I really like, who is one of my studs of the week. Kelsey is.
Who's his RB? Mostert is his RB2, I guess.
Yeah, Mostert and Herbert, he's flopping between. And Naheem Hines, we'll see how he incorporates himself. But
where did Hines get traded again?
The Bills. So he could have some upside there. But I really like Adams and Olave. That's a great 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Kelsey's good. Josh Palmer, while Mike Williams out, I think is a good flex, and then Jacoby Myers.
Alex just got to figure his quarterback situation out. It's been like the day one situation with Alex's team.
If I was Alex, I'd try and get a trade done for like a Fields or somebody. But yeah, good team. He just needs some more W's.
I don't think he ever watches these videos either, so he's not going to hear any of this advice.
And he needs to change his fucking team name.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
It is kind of stupid.
All right, next.
Got Zach.
Yeah.
Zach's team, he's just been having record issues all year. It's hard to build confidence in your team if you keep fucking losing. But I still like Zach's team.
Me too.
He's got really good running back depth. He's got Ken Walker, Nick Chubb, Leonard Fournette. There's not a lot of teams that have the ability to start a good running back in their flex, an RB2. So that's pretty interesting. And it's not even like he doesn't have receivers either, because Christian Kirk and Amon Ra are still some pretty solid receivers, and Mike Williams is still sitting on his bench.
He just might not be coming back when Zach can still make the playoffs.
That is very true. Yeah, Zach's got a lot of interesting bench depth going on. He's got Najee Harris sitting on his bench, who has looked shit.
Herbert's good.
He's got Drake London on his bench, who just doesn't have a good quarterback. And then, Mike Williams, who's not doing him any good.
And Wandale, who's a high floor piece.
I don't know. Zach's got a lineup that can win games. It just doesn't do that.
Yeah.
It's a big week for Zach coming up. He's going to have to get a win here if he wants to stay in the playoff race. Next up on the board, we got Dick Cheese.
All right, Dick Cheese. I just wanted to say, because you were talking trash, that you're just as shit as me. You know, my team went through fucking World War III, and we still have the same fucking record. You know, your team's garbage. Aaron Jones might miss, and that's an uppity for me. He got seen in a walking boot. The Phillies fucking lost. You're a loser. You traded for Tyler Higbee, and he's been absolute dog shit. I think he scored more points in each week, the first, 6 weeks, than the 3 weeks combined you've had him. So, you're garbage. I like Jerry Jeudy rest of the year. Booby's cool. Very below average team. Fuck you, Dick Cheese. Alright, next is me. I sent my team to the Korean War to go fight overseas. Don't know when they'll be back, but I'm going to call it probably this season, and we'll hope to be back stronger and better next year. America lost some wars in the beginning of its time. You know what they did? They came back bigger, better, and stronger. Last we have Meech. Meech, you suck even more than I do, which is crazy. Because you've had, one injury that's been fucking with you, Keenan Allen? I've lost 5 starters, and I'm still better than you. You're just a piece of shit. I don't know how to explain it any better. You're probably the worst person in this league by far, knowledge-wise, player-wise.
You traded Devontae for Keenan and never got a week out of him.
What trade that was, it didn't even work out for Zach because he's got no wins neither. But Meech, Dick Cheese, losers. All right, trades of the week. There weren't any fucking trades this week, but we didn't do a video last week. So I'm going to talk about Zach and Alex's trade. It was a pretty big one. It was, what was the trade? Fuck. Alright, while I'm looking for
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, while I'm looking for it, Matt's gonna talk about, Zach and Josh's trade.
Yeah, so Zach and Josh. Zach moved off of Jonathan Taylor and Brandon Cooks and got Leonard Fournette in return. And for Zach, I think that is the right decision for him to make because he needs a player that plays now and can help him win some football games. And Josh is in a situation where he can wait for the playoffs. And, I think that's like a right down the middle trade. I'm not going to lie. There's nothing you can
I did expect Cooks to get traded, though, which would have made it seem more even.
If Cooks got traded, that would have been a great trade for Josh.
But at the same time, Lenny's been kind of a duker. Just because of the Tampa Bay offense.
No, the Tampa Bay offense hasn't been playing up to expected, but it can only get better. It can't be worse. So we'll see what the fuck happens.
All right. Found a trade. This is a really big one. I don't know. Everyone just kind of gave their best players in this. Alex gave up Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Brandon Cooks, and Amon-Ra. Oh, and Romeo for Dalvin, Devontae, Chris Olave, and Alec Pierce. I kind of like this trade for both sides because it left Zach with a little more depth and how he likes to trade. And it gave Alex his solid team where he's got the 1-2 punch now with Olave and Adams. He doesn't have to worry about Amon-Ra going down or being injured anymore. I like that he traded Nick Chubb because I think his schedule does get harder. It might not matter because he's just so fucking good at football. But I like that he moved off Nick Chubb and a hurt running back. Brandon Cooks didn't even get traded. I really like this trade for Alex. I like how it made his team look. But, yeah, it did leave Zach with some pieces. So, I like it for both people. But I think it evened out both their teams.
Studs of the week.
All right, studs of the week. My stud of the week is gotta be Tua T. I'm gonna be honest. I thought he would be sped by now. Like, I thought his eyes would be looking this way, his left one would be looking that way, his right one would be looking this way. But he proved me wrong. Well, he had fucking 24 points, over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. His brain's still working enough to be able to make good reads across the football field.
And he's got Tyreek Hill and
Jalen Waddle might be top 5 receivers in the fucking NFL, period. So it's
probably like at least top 3, honestly.
Well, who would you put Waddle over Adams?
Oh, I thought you were talking about like duos.
Oh no, duos is number 1 in my opinion. I mean Waddle is so good at football. Tyreek is so good at football. Even though they look like they do the same thing, they do different things. Tyreek stretches the field, and Waddle can do the same thing, and he takes the ball underneath. They're so fucking good at football, and so I don't know. I can't see a way Tua can really fuck shit up unless his brain gets fucked up. You know what I mean? And as long as his brain's working, he's gonna be working. I like him rest of the year.
Yeah, my quarterback of the week is Justin fucking Fields, who broke the single game quarterback rushing record with 178 yards, scored 44 fantasy points, and has been looking like a quarterback 1. And I say that to say I don't think he's going to do that the rest of the year. At least I would say, Chuck, if you can trade him. And if you need a quarterback, I'd say probably don't trade for him unless your quarterback sucks that bad, because his playoff matchups he plays, the Bills and the Eagles in the playoffs, and you don't want to start a guy against the Bills and the Eagles in the playoffs. I mean, it's a quarterback with a rushing ceiling, so their floor is going to be higher no matter what. And if your quarterback sucks to the point where you need a quarterback with a rushing ceiling, but that isn't to say that Justin Fields hasn't been fucking dogging fantasy points.
123 passing yards. Doesn't fucking matter. Because he ran for 170 plus, like Matt said.
Yeah.
And the offense has been way better too. So I do like
I'd rather start him than Mariota.
Facts. Alright. Next we're getting the running backs. I think it's only right that I talk about Joe Mixon. Because, like I said, he laid a fucking world record Duke on my forehead. He almost scored more than my whole fucking team combined. But, it was bound to happen in some touchdown regression. You didn't think it would happen like this. But he only had 2 touchdowns on the year going into this game. This game, they fucking went down a bunch at the goal line. And you know who eats when that happens? Joe Mixon. They don't have Jamar. So he's taking away some of them easy slant fade routes that were usually easy touchdowns. And Joe Mixon feasted, famined all over my team. Is what it is. Congrats, Josh. 55-point week is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, I was at work. I had my headphones in listening to Red Zone, and I just kept hearing like Joe Mixon scores a touchdown, and I was like, I thought my shit was glitching.
No, yeah, I thought my fucking app was lagging because I would check the fucking game and it just kept saying Joe Mixon touchdown.
Yeah.
I guess he just felt
nuclear.
Yeah, he went nuclear. It is what it is. Congrats, Josh. I like Mixon. It's a good offense. I can't see him keeping this a consistent thing, but he's a 15 to 20 point guy every week. With
RB1.
Way higher upside. Good RB1.
Yeah. My running back of the week is Ken Walker, and it was really weird. Like, I wasn't like avoiding at all costs all of the rookie running backs this year, but like when I was like in draft mode, like analyzing all the players, I saw these rookies go to the Jets, the Texans, and the Seahawks, and I was like, those could be the 3 worst teams in the entire NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised. And these running backs could just be on the worst offenses in the league. So I wasn't like really reaching for any of these guys, and they all have looked like RB1s.
It doesn't fucking matter. Yeah.
It doesn't. And they've all played better than you could ask for. Not like the Texans or anything, but Kenneth Walker obviously had Penny go down, and that's kind of what brought him to this point in his season. But
he's good.
He's fucking good at football, and Penny's not going to get that job back ever. Kenneth Walker is the new Seattle running back, and he put up 27 points and looks like a fucking beast. Those 3 running backs all look like beasts this year, and they have their own running back.
Yeah, if
now.
Brees didn't go down, I could have saw
he'd
all
be a
3
top
of them
5
being
running
RB1s.
Hell yeah.
Like all 3.
Yeah, so that guy is a fucking animal.
All right. Next, for receiver studs, I wanted to talk a little bit about Josh Palmer. 18 points without a touchdown, which, you know, is what it is. You don't get a touchdown, it's like luck-based. Still had over 100 yards with 8 receptions. I think he's going to eat for as long as Mike Williams is out. He took his role. He's not as good at it, but, you know, they don't have a ton of healthy options in that offense to throw to. They've just been checking down to fucking Eckler and everything. But as the team gets healthier, Herbert still gets healthier off his rib injury. I could see Josh Palmer really being a factor until Mike Williams comes back. And who knows, maybe they really like him and he still is involved. But, yeah, I like Josh Palmer for the next month or so.
Yeah, my wide receiver of the week is Devontae. That guy fucking ate this week.
Yeah, always do.
Yeah, he's still, honestly, in talent-wise, top 3 receiver in the league. Like, he's just that good at football. He's had some pretty low producing weeks, but he's always due for, like, a multi-touchdown game. The Raiders have just been kind of ass.
17 targets.
17 targets. 146 yards. Like, that's just Devontae Adams. I don't think I need to talk too much about this guy. It's just like he put up 36 points. You got to mention him. All right. Tight ends.
All right. I wanted to talk about TJ Hawkinson because, you know, it's kind of whatever, 16 points. But when you score 16 points without a touchdown with your first week on a new team, that's pretty impressive. It looks like
they traded for him for a reason.
Yeah, it looks like they want to get him really involved. I like the way they used him as like actually a receiving threat, not just a block how the Lions did. I like him rest of the year. If I was Nate, I would move off of Njoku and try and keep Hawkinson. But like I like both of them. But I do lean more Hawkinson because he was so talented. He was drafted really early for a reason. And he went to the Lions, you know. So you could see how they would waste a talent like that at tight end.
He also looks like a Viking. Like, if you look at his profile picture, like, he looks like he's, like, literally on a boat. And
yeah, exactly. This is where he should flourish.
He's a long-haired blonde man. Like, he just looks like he's supposed to be pillaging.
TJ Hawk.
Yeah, my tight end of the week was Goddard. And what did he do? Like 10 receptions for like 100-something and a tutty. There we go.
8 for 100.
8 for 100 and a tutty. And he put up 24 points. Eagles' offense is good. And they were playing Houston.
Yep. And tight ends always eating good offenses. How football works.
Yeah. So, tight end 1.
Yep.
End of story. Duds of the week.
All right, I want to talk about Mariota. I just don't think he should be started. I know he has these good games every once in a while, but he's just too fucking inconsistent.
I'd never see him, like, I started him a couple weeks. I'd never see him started when he does good. I only see him sit on the waivers and have good weeks.
Yeah, I think
he's like one of those dudes.
Bad juju. Like, it didn't matter because Alex put up 150 anyways, but, like, what if he really needed Mariota? Mariota's just too inconsistent on a week-to-week basis. Matchup doesn't matter. Like,
no.
He could put up 20-plus against a good team and put up 7 like he did this week against the Chargers, who was really banged up. I just think there's better players on the waivers. Like, Alex should trade for a Fields or trade for
Danny J, honestly.
Yeah, or you could just pick up a Danny J.
I think Coates might have Danny J.
But whatever, yeah, you could trade for Danny J. Fucking Jared Goff, I'd rather start on a week-to-week basis than Mariota. But Aaron Rodgers, too, because at least Aaron Rodgers, you know you're consistently getting 14 to 17 every week. It's never going to be a high number, but at least you know it's a number that he'll get to. So, yeah, I just wanted to say, don't start Mariota.
Yeah, my dud of the week was Justin Herbert, and he put up 12 points, and this is like, there weren't a lot of quarterbacks that did terrible this week, so it's kind of like who I had to go with. But I don't know. He just doesn't have any weapons to throw to right now. He's throwing to Josh
everyone's
Palmer.
hurt.
Keenan Allen hasn't been playing.
Eckler's been getting some of the touchdowns, stealing them. So.
Yeah, but Justin Herbert is still an extremely talented quarterback, and he put up 245 yards with some nobodies out there. But at the end of the day, he's quarterback ranked 14, and he was drafted as the quarterback, like 4 or some shit?
Yeah, 4 or 5 probably.
So, no matter how good a quarterback is, I mean, Joe Burrow's doing great, and, obviously you could predict Joe Burrow would do great, and, if the injuries didn't happen, Herbert would probably be doing great anyway, but this is kind of why you go for them rushing upside quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We've been talking about it all year, but, yeah, I don't see the point in drafting a Justin Herbert in, the first 6 rounds, and this is kind of why. You can just get stuck with a guy whose wide receivers gets injured and can't run the ball. So running back, dud of the week for Brendan.
All right, I want to talk about Deontay Foreman because this is kind of more of what I was expecting. I know he got off to that really hot start, but we got to take into account that Chuba Hubbard's also not been playing.
And he's on the Panthers.
Yeah, and he's on the Panthers. This is what's going to happen. It's a bad offense. I know that he can have these really good weeks. We'll see what happens. But with Chuba coming back, I think you have to lower your expectations on him a little bit. I know he's been cashing out with touchdowns, and that can kind of blind your vision a little. But I still think he's startable, but just not. He's not high-end RB2, mid-tier RB2, like how some people kind of viewed him as. I think he's still more of a flex option running back who Coach can still use at an RB2 and get some value out of him as long as his receivers produce. But yeah, I don't know. I was always a little lower on Deontay Foreman than most people. I think he was just really cashing on some touchdowns. He's a good football player, but it's a bad offense, so there's not a ton of fantasy production to go around.
Yeah, my running back dud of the week is Raheem Mostert, and I'd be a little bit nervous if I was Alex right now because he just kind of made Raheem Mostert his running back too. Jeff Wilson comes into town, and Mike McDaniel is a former 49ers offensive coordinator, so
that's why he has Mostert and Wilson now.
Wilson didn't really even have to practice. Yeah, he's got the 49ers backfield from 2 years ago on his team. Jeff Wilson comes right in and outsnaps Mostert, who was getting 75 to 80% of the snaps before. I'd be a little bit worried because he scored 8 points with a touchdown. Yeah. That's not good for an RB2. That's some shit that would have me worried if that was my player. So it's a shame because he was looking really good. He was looking like a RB2, like a high-end RB2 for a little while with Chase Edmonds on the squad. But it seems like they got somebody in there that they can complement with him. And honestly, if you remember Mostert, he's not the guy that you want to be your, every down back. That man is made of glass, and it's a surprise that he hasn't already been on the IR this year. So it makes sense that they're not going to be using him in that 3-down back role.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I would say low-end RB2, maybe RB3 type value for him the rest of the way with Jeff Wilson in town.
All right, my dud of the week at receiver has got to be Duvernay. I think he showed that this is not somebody that the team feels like they have to give touches to because without Mark Andrews and Bateman there, he had, one catch for 5 yards? DeMarcus Robinson looks like he's just as involved as Duvernay. And not only that, when it looks like their top 2 guys are hurt, they're okay with just going back to running the football more. The team started out as a very pass-heavy team because they felt like they had the weapons for it to pay off, which it was doing early on in the season. But now that their top receiving options are getting hurt, I don't think they're going to still say, oh, okay, now we have to continue to throw the ball. When they have Gus Edwards back, they have Justice Hill, who's competent, and they have Kenyon Drake, who's competent running back. I could just see them being okay with just running the ball with those three and their best running back, Lamar Jackson. So Duvernay, I don't look at him and go, oh, wow, this is the receiver one in Baltimore now. I kind of look at him as, oh, this is the number 2 option on a run-heavy team now. So we'll see how he does. He'll still have good games. He'll still have decent touchdown upside when the team is down. But also the Ravens' schedule is really easy after the bye. So I can't even see them being down in a ton of games. So I don't really like him a ton rest of the season, but he'll still catch some touchdowns. We'll see.
Yeah, my dud of the week is Michael Pittman. He's not really been the dude that people were hoping he would be. I know a lot of people coming into the year thought he was just going to be like a wide receiver one. And
he was good with Matt Ryan still there, but that's the thing. Like, he's not going to be good with a run-heavy quarterback.
Yeah. He's low-end wide receiver 2 the rest of the year probably. If they get Matt Ryan in, maybe he's like a solid wide receiver 2. But and Taylor's not even back yet. And I don't know if Taylor being back is going to make the offense better because they might be able to convert more on third downs because they couldn't convert on a third down at all. They were 0-11 on their first third downs. Their first set of third downs, 0-11. The team just can't move the ball. They just made a dude that wasn't even a coordinator for their team, their head coach. There's a lot going on there in Indianapolis. I'm not like a fan of the Colts the rest of the way. All right, tight end time.
All right. We usually don't like to talk about our own players, especially
We're supposed to tell them that.
Whatever. Especially not for duds. But my dud is Matt's tight end, who's Robert Tonyan. Now, this is a player that I could see being a lot better rest of the year just because there's so many injuries. But it kind of, I look at it as why is he not getting more targets with everybody down, like all his receivers down. Now, like I'm saying, I think there'll be better weeks for him because he's going to have to get the ball, being one of the more competent receiving options in that offense. But Dubs looks like he's banged up. Sammy Watkins is like old enough to be a grandfather. Fucking Christian Watkins can't stay healthy. Like, they just don't have a lot of people to throw to. So. Yeah,
I think the problem is, simply put, the Packers just suck.
Facts.
And that's why Aaron Jones has been a bust, and that's why A.J. Dillon has sadly been a bust, because I was really high on that motherfucker, too.
Me too.
Glad you stole him from me. Appreciate that, big dog. And, yeah, Tonyan, who was my tight end sleeper of the year, has not been panning out very well. Yeah, but my tight end dud of the week is...
Higga.
Yeah, him. Tyler Higbee, the guy that was my claim to fame in the beginning of the season because that man was fucking balling.
You traded him at the perfect time.
The perfect time. Yeah, it was honestly great in hindsight that I just moved off of him when I did because the last 4 weeks I think he's totaled up a combined 5 to 7 points.
Not even.
Yeah, I think he's put up 2.5 points was his best game for Aiden over the last 4 weeks, and one of those weeks was a bye, but 3.5. He had a 3.5 point game. That's my bad. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's the same thing with the Packers. Is the Rams are just a lot worse than anybody would have guessed they would have been. Because, I mean, he was still getting a lot of work before I traded him, but...
Now they're kind of working Robinson in.
They are working Robinson in. And
whatchamacallit's back, Van Jefferson.
Yeah, and they just aren't scoring a lot. Like, Cooper Kupp still gets his job done, but they just don't score the ball that much. Their offense has looked pretty shitty. It comes down to their O-line being not what it used to be. But yeah, T. Higo put up a 0 against me. If he would have put up maybe his classic 13 points, Aiden probably would have beat me. That's a shame. Yeah.
Matty's must-watch matchups.
Yeah, so we got 2 big matchups coming up this week, and matchup number 1 is me versus Chuck, and we're battling it out for the number 1 seed this week. It's gonna be a big fucking match. I can't wait to beat Chuck. I'm gonna kill him. I'm not gonna lie. I'm really gonna beat Chuck up this week. I don't know, maybe his defense can score 50. Who the fuck knows? Yeah. Second matchup, we got Nate versus Zach. Nate versus Zach. They're both projected close in the same ballpark point range, and they're both kind of battling for that last seed in the playoffs. I think if Zach doesn't win this week, it could be all she
He's
wrote.
gonzo.
It could be. And Nate does not want to lose another week and be 4-6. So it's either going to be Zach's going to be 3-7, or Nate's going to be 4-6. And either way, that's not a great spot to be in for.
But it's fun
playoff
for us
contention.
to watch.
Yeah. And last but not least,
All right.
we got the injuries.
We get to talk about 2 weeks of injuries, but there's really still not that many.
Wasn't a bad 2 weeks.
Yeah, Aaron Jones got seen in a walking boot after practice. Fuck you, Dick Cheese. Maybe AJ Dillon season, but that offense is so shit anyways that it might not even matter. In my opinion, he'll at least miss this week. It could be longer depending on the severity of the injury. I'll have to check back on that. But yeah, I see it being a 1 to 3 week injury. We'll see. All right. Next, we have Jonathan Taylor, who's actually dealing with, I think, a very similar injury to Aaron Jones, which is why he had to miss his first game since fucking high school or whatever. But yeah, he's a little banged up, and that offense looks kind of shitty. So, sucks that he got drafted first. It's probably why Alex has 4 wins. All right, then Josh Allen, he fucked up his throwing elbow or something.
It's like a UCL injury.
Yeah, this could be bad news for Bills receivers. I got one of them.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at the fantasy doctor, and he was saying that it looks like it's like a grade 1 tear.
Yeah, so it's probably not too bad, but he might stick to running a little more instead of
they could
throwing
be
all over the yard. All right, then we have Bateman, who is out for the rest of the season. Miss you, Bateman. I'm no longer Master Bateman. We'll see how he does next year, because I thought he was going to be really good. Whatever. Shit happens. Mark Andrews should be good after the bye, thank God. They wanted to rest him 1 more week because he was dealing with a shoulder thing. He was dealing with his knee thing. He should be good for me after the bye. Debo, he should probably be back this week. I could see the touches being a little lower on him. And with the McCaffrey injury, we'll see how that works out. I don't see them needing to feed him the ball how they were like last year, obviously. But he's still a good player. He'll still come back and get his touchdowns. Dubs, also another Packer injury. I think sprained his ankle. We'll see the severity of that, but I see him being out at least 2 weeks. So, yeah, I guess the trade wasn't terrible, the Dubs for Bateman straight up. Either way, I was going to be cucked. But, yeah, that's it. Hold on, what's that tissue? Do you know a tissue brand? Like any tissue brand? What's it?
Why don't I know one now?
Come on.
Now that you asked.
Come on. Think
Kleenex?
of a tissue. Alright. This video is sponsored by Kleenex.
Oh.
Go buy yourself some
Why did I say
Kleenexes and go wipe your tears away. You sorry ass Phillies
I shouldn't have
fans.
said a fucking
Fuck you,
brand.
Demetrius.